My name is Sophia. I'm 24 years old, and Christmas has always been everything. To me, not because of the gifts or the commercialism, but because it was the one time of year my mom and I were really us. My dad left when I was 5. And after that, it was just the two of us. Mom worked 2 jobs to keep us afloat, but every December, no matter how tired, she was no matter how tight money, was she made Christmas happen. We'd decorate the tree together, bake cookies, stay up late, watching old movies on Christmas morning. We'd open presents, slowly savoring each one, and she'd always say the same thing. Christmas isn't about the stuff, Sophia. It's about the magic. It's about believing in something beautiful, and I believed in us, in our traditions, in the idea that no matter what happened, we'd always have Christmas. And then she met Richard at a work conference. Last April, he was 52, divorced twice, worked in finance, and from the moment they started dating, everything changed. Mom stopped coming to our monthly brunches, stopped returning my calls as quickly, started saying things like, Richard thinks, or Richard says. By November, she'd moved him into our house. The house I still had my childhood bedroom, in the house that was supposed to be ours, and that's when she announced she was canceling Christmas. When she told me, I thought she was joking or going through some midlife crisis, but she was dead serious. We're not doing Christmas, Sophia. You need to accept reality. You're an adult. It's time to let go of childhood fantasies. I tried to reason with her. Mom, Christmas isn't just for kids. It's our tradition. It's what we do. She cut me off. I'm starting a new life with Richard. New traditions, new priorities. You're welcome to join us for a quiet dinner on the 25th, but there won't be any decorations or gifts or any of that nonsense. I felt like she'd slapped me. A quiet dinner, no tree, no presents, no magic, just her and Richard pretending I didn't exist. I asked, what about all our ornaments, our stockings, the angel you bought the year Dad left? She shrugged. We'll donate them or throw them out. I don't need them anymore, and neither do you. That's when I stopped trying to save Christmas and started planning something else, because 2 days later, Mom sat me down with wedding magazines and said, I need your help. Richard and I are getting married. February 14th, Valentine's Day. Isn't that romantic? We're doing a big wedding, 200 guests at the Rosewood Estate. I'm thinking blush pink and gold, very elegant, very sophisticated, and I need you to be my maid of honor. I stared at her. You canceled Christmas, but you're throwing a $50,000 wedding. She smiled. Of course, Sophia, a wedding is important. It's about celebrating love and commitment. Christmas is just a commercial holiday for children. You should understand the difference. I understood perfectly. She was willing to spend a fortune and months of planning on a man she barely knew but couldn't spare one evening to honor 2 decades of tradition with her daughter. So I smiled and said, I'd love to help. Mom, I'd love to be part of your special day, and I meant it, because I was going to make sure it was special in ways she'd never forget. I started small. Mom had hired a wedding planner, Carolyn, who was organized, efficient, and very expensive. I called Carolyn, introduced myself as the maid of honor, and said Mom wanted me to be more involved. Could I get access to all the vendor contacts, the timeline, the budget? Carolyn, clearly overwhelmed and grateful for help, sent me everything I had. Spreadsheets, I had phone numbers, I had deposit receipts, I had everything I needed. First, I called the venue, the Rosewood Estate. It's this gorgeous historic mansion, books out 2 years in advance. Mom had put down a $10,000 non-refundable deposit. I called, pretending to be Mom, and said I needed to change the date. Could we move it to February 20th instead of the 14th? The coordinator said that date was available, but we'd need to re-sign the contract. I said, perfect, send it over. I'll sign and return it. She did. I signed my mom's name, which I'd been doing on school forms for years. I knew it perfectly and sent it. Back then, I called Mom's phone pretending to be the venue and left a voicemail confirming the date change to the 20th, thanking her for being flexible. Mom never checked. She was too busy shopping. Next, I tackled the photographer. Mom had booked the best in the city, Marcus Chen. His rate was $8,000 for the day. Ridiculous, but Mom wanted the best. I called. Marcus said I was the bride's daughter, and that Mom wanted to adjust the shot list. Could we focus more on candid moments and less on traditional poses? He said, sure, whatever makes the bride happy. Then I asked if he'd ever shot a wedding where the groom didn't show up. He laughed uncomfortably and said once why I said just curious making conversation. Then I asked what his cancellation policy was. He said 50% refund if canceled. More than 60 days out, nothing. If less, I thanked him and hung up. Then I went to work on Richard. I didn't know Richard well. He was quiet, polite, kept to himself. But I knew he'd been divorced twice, and both times his ex-wives had taken him to the cleaners. Mom mentioned it once, saying how awful it was that women could just take advantage of men like that. Richard deserved better this time. I thought that was interesting. So I did some digging. I found his ex-wives on social media, reached out and introduced myself as his fiance's daughter. They were surprisingly willing to talk. The first ex-wife, Denise, told me Richard was controlling, that he'd isolated her from her friends and family, that he expected her to quit her job and stay home even though they didn't have kids when she refused. He'd become emotionally abusive. She left and took half his assets because she'd earned them putting up with him. The second ex-wife, Lauren, said almost the same thing, but added that Richard had a spending problem. He'd maxed out credit cards, buying things to impress people, cars, watches, trips, and when she tried to set a budget, he accused her of being controlling. Both women said the same thing. He's charming at first, but once he thinks you're locked in, he changes. I recorded both conversations with their permission and saved them. Then I started watching Richard and Mom together, really watching, and I saw it, the way he'd correct her in public, the way he'd dismiss her opinions, the way he'd make decisions without asking her. At dinner one night, he told her the wedding colors should be navy and silver, not blush and gold, because navy was more sophisticated. Mom laughed and said, but I love blush pink. Richard said, trust me, navy is better. You don't want people thinking we're tacky, do you? Mom's smile faltered and she said, okay, navy it is. I recorded that too. Christmas came and went without celebration. Mom had packed away all our decorations, donated half of them, thrown out the rest. Our tree, the one we'd had for 15 years, was gone, replaced with nothing. On Christmas morning, I woke up in my apartment, the one I'd moved into after Mom said I needed to give her and Richard space, and I felt hollow. Mom texted around noon, Merry Christmas, sweetheart, quiet day here, hope you're doing something fun. I didn't respond. Instead, I opened my laptop and continued my work. I'd been busy while Mom planned her wedding. I'd been dismantling at the florist. Mom had ordered $2,000 worth of blush pink, roses and gold accents. I called, pretending to be Mom, and said we needed to change the order to navy and white, and could we add some lilies? Richard's favorite, the florist, said sure, but lilies are out of season. They'd have to be imported. It would double the cost. I said that's fine. Richard's worth it. She updated the order. Mom never checked the caterer. Mom had chosen a menu, elegant plated dinners, filet mignon, Chilean sea bass, vegetarian options. I called and said the bride wanted to change to a buffet style with more casual options, burgers, sliders, mac and cheese. The caterer hesitated and said, that's a pretty drastic change. Are you sure? I said positive. We want it to be fun and relaxed, not stuffy. She said okay, but we'd need to redo the contract and the price would go up because buffets require more staff. I said perfect, send the new contract. I signed it. The dress Mom had found, her dream dress at a boutique, custom fitted ivory lace off the shoulder, $3,000. She'd put down a deposit and had fittings scheduled. I called the boutique, said I was the bride's daughter and that Mom was worried about the fit. Could we adjust it to be one size smaller for motivation? Mom's trying to lose weight for the wedding. The seamstress hesitated. That's not really safe. What if she doesn't lose the weight? I said she will. She's very determined. Please just do it. Reluctantly, she agreed. Mom's final fitting was scheduled for 2 weeks before the wedding. I kept going. Invitations. Mom had ordered beautiful custom invitations, blush pink with gold foil. I intercepted them when they were delivered, told Mom they looked perfect, and then I reprinted them with the wrong date, February 20th, instead of the 14th, and mailed them myself. 200 guests got invitations to a wedding that wasn't happening on that date. The DJ Mom had booked a DJ for 10 hours. I called and said the bride wanted to change the music vibe, less romantic ballads, more club music, techno remixes. The DJ said, that's unusual for a wedding. Are you sure? I said positive. The bride and groom want people dancing. She loves EDM. He said okay, but I'll need a different equipment setup. It'll cost more. I approved it. The rings Mom and Richard had custom rings designed, platinum with engraved messages. I went to the jeweler, pretending to be picking them up for Mom, and said there was a typo in Richard's engraving. Could they fix it? The jeweler asked what the typo was. I said it currently says to my forever. It should say to my for now. He looked confused. That seems like an odd message. I shrugged. That's what they want. It's an inside joke. He fixed it, and every single change I made, I documented. I had emails, I had phone records, I had everything. And then 2 weeks before the wedding, I sent Richard an anonymous email with all the recordings. I'd made the conversations with his ex-wives, the recording of him dismissing Mom at dinner, a timeline of how he'd slowly taken control of wedding decisions, overriding everything she wanted, and I included screenshots of his credit report showing he was $70,000 in debt. I didn't sign it, just wrote thought. You should know who you're marrying, and maybe she should know who she's marrying too. Richard opened it, I know, because 2 days later he showed up at my apartment. I was ready. I opened the door, and he was standing there, holding his phone, his face red. You sent this, he said. I tilted my head. Sent what? He shoved the phone at me. This email, these recordings. Did you send them? I looked at the screen, then at him, and said, I have no idea what you're talking about, but those recordings are interesting. Sounds like you have a pattern. He stepped closer. You've been sabotaging the wedding, haven't you? Changing orders, messing with plans. You think, I don't know. I stayed calm. I don't know what you mean, Richard, but if the wedding plans are falling apart, maybe you should ask yourself why. Maybe it's because you're trying to control everything. Maybe Mom's realizing she made a mistake. His jaw clenched. You're a spoiled brat who can't handle her mother. Moving on. Laughed. Moving on, Richard. She canceled Christmas, the one tradition we've had for 24 years, so she could focus on marrying a man she's known for less than a year, a man who's been divorced twice, a man who's drowning in debt and who treats her like an accessory. He went pale. How do you know about the debt? I smiled. The same way I know about Denise and Lauren, the same way I know you've been changing all of Mom's wedding plans to fit what you want, the same way I know that in about 3 days when Mom tries on her dress, it's going to be too small, and she's going to realize someone's been sabotaging her, and when she asks you about it, you won't have any answers. His face went from red to white. You're insane. I'm protective. I said, Mom threw away 24 years of us for you, and you don't even respect her. So yeah, I made sure this wedding is going to be a disaster, and when it all falls apart, she's going to see you for who you really are. He pointed at me. You'll regret this. I shook my head. No, Richard, you'll regret underestimating how much I love my mom now. Get off my porch. He left, and I closed the door. 3 days later, Mom called, sobbing. Sophia, something's wrong with my dress. It doesn't fit the seamstress. Says someone called and had it altered. I don't understand what's happening, I said calmly. Mom, what do you mean? She was hyperventilating. The dress is too small. I can't zip it, and the florist called. The order is all wrong. It's navy and white, not blush and pink, and the invitations. People are saying they got the wrong date, and the caterer says we're doing a buffet, but I never agreed to that. I don't understand who's doing this. I let the silence hang. Then I said, Mom, do you remember what you told me in November? She sniffled. What I said. You told me Christmas was for children, that I needed to grow up, that traditions don't matter. She was quiet. Sophia, what does that have to do with anything? Everything, Mom, I said. I've spent my whole life believing that Christmas was about magic, about us, and you threw it away like it was nothing. So I decided if you could throw away something that mattered to me, I'd return the favor. How does it feel to watch something you care about fall apart? She gasped. You did this. I did. I said every changed order, every wrong date, every sabotage detail. That was me. She started crying. Why, Sophia, why would you do this? Because you chose him over me, I said. Because you canceled the one thing that made us so you could throw a party for a man who's trying to control you, who's in debt, who's been married twice and failed both times. I did it because you forgot that I'm your daughter, and that should matter more than some guy you barely know. She was sobbing. You're wrong about Richard, I said. Am I? Ask him about the recordings. Mom, ask him what his ex-wife said about him. Ask him why he's $70,000 in debt. And Mom, if you still want to marry him after that, go ahead, but you're doing it without me, I hung up. The wedding fell apart. Spectacularly, Mom confronted Richard about the debt, the recordings, the control. He tried to deny it at first, but when she pressed, he admitted everything, said the ex-wives were lying, that he was just trying to help her make good decisions, that the debt was from investments that didn't pan out. She didn't believe him. She called off the wedding 2 weeks before the date, lost every deposit, every payment, everything. Richard moved out. Mom was left alone in a house full of navy and white decorations for a wedding that was never going to happen. And she called me, Sophia, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I should have listened. I should have seen it. I should have never canceled Christmas. I didn't answer right away. I let her sit with it. Then I said, Mom, I spent 8 weeks destroying your wedding because you spent one conversation destroying 24 years of us. Do you understand how much that hurt? She cried harder. I do. Now I was so stupid. I thought I needed Richard. I thought I was doing the right thing, growing up, moving on, but I wasn't. I was just running away from being alone, and I hurt you, and I'm so sorry. I asked, do you even know why Christmas mattered to me? She whispered, tell me, because it was the one time every year that I had you completely. I said no. Distractions, no work, no stress, just us, and it reminded me that even though Dad left, we were okay, that we had each other. And when you canceled it, you told me that I don't matter, that we don't matter, and Mom, that broke something in me. She sobbed. I'll never forgive myself, Sophia. Never. I said, you don't have to forgive yourself. You have to fix it. It took months. Mom went to therapy, started working on herself, apologized over and over. She sold the house, too many bad memories, and moved into an apartment. She started reaching out, spending time with me, not because she needed something, but because she wanted to. She asked about my life, my work, my friends, things she hadn't asked about in years. And in November, 11 months after she'd canceled Christmas, she showed up at my door with a box. I opened it. Inside were ornaments, our ornaments, the ones she'd said she donated or thrown out. She'd kept them hidden in storage. I also got us a tree, she said. Quietly, I set it up in my living room. I know it's early, but I thought maybe we could decorate together like we used to, if you want. I looked at her, at the tears in her eyes, at the way she was holding her breath, waiting for my answer, and I said, okay, Mom, let's decorate. We spent that evening hanging ornaments, baking cookies, watching old movies, and when we were done, she said, I can't undo what I did, Sophia, but I promise I'll spend the rest of my life making sure you know you matter, that we matter. I hugged her and said, that's all I ever wanted. So tell me, if your mom canceled the one tradition you had together for a man she barely knew, would you let it go, or would you do what I did and make sure her perfect day crumbled the way your Christmas did? Because I don't regret it, not for a second. I regret that it had to happen, but I don't regret showing her that actions have consequences, that you can't throw people away and expect them to stay. And when she stood in my living room holding those ornaments, crying and apologizing, I knew I'd done the right thing, because sometimes the only way to save what matters is to destroy what doesn't. And Mom's wedding to Richard didn't matter, but us, we did, and now she knows it.